What's up, everybody? Johnny here, and yeah. What's up, everybody? Johnny here again. We're gonna finally address the video from the angry. I keep bumping the table again. Sorry about that. Also, sorry about the quality. Still, I'm still recording directly into my computer. Once I get my second X-H2s body, because I love it so much that I ended up getting another one. I'm getting rid of my A9, all of my Sony stuff. I'm trading with KEH for the very first time. Never traded with them before. I've purchased things from them, but I've never traded. But I will let you guys know how it goes and maybe compare it to my trades with MPB. But anyway, so I sent those off. So hopefully here in the next week or so, I'll have the second body. And then maybe I'll start just recording directly to the card on the camera itself. And then I'll just do it the hard way, which is on the card, into the computer, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'll try it and see how I like it. But I'm not getting rid of the ZV-1 just yet. So I'm going to keep using it for now. So anyway, back to the original purpose of this video, which is to address Angry Photographer's video about his review of the X-H2s. I think the entire video was just a complete, how do I say this without getting flagged? It is it's a fallacy. It almost everything this man said about this camera is not true in any way, shape, or form. It's been proven by many people out there on YouTube. If you go out there and look, it's been proven by me. It's been proven by Mike Riley in the old wildlife sector of the video and photography. It's been proven in a lot of different places. And now finally, DP Review finally released their final review. I keep saying final. It's a drinking game, y'all. DP Review finally released that review, and it was better than I expected. I'll be honest. It was better than I expected. And, you know, a lot of what they said is very true. And but they also said it does need some work. There's a little tweaking here and there, and we all agree. I think we all agree on that. And one thing that I've noticed is the thing that I think they need to address, one of the first things they should address is that box jumping when you're locked on. You know, when you've got back button autofocus, and when I'm holding that button down, sometimes the box will jump. It shouldn't do that. Once you're locked onto something, it should stick until you take your finger off. That's just my personal opinion. Now, did the Sony jump? On occasion, Sony autofocus will jump. I haven't tried the A7 IV or an A1, but I've had, you know, the A9, A7 III, A7R III, and A7C. And A7C had a more updated version of autofocus than the A7 III, and it worked better than the A7 III. But again, sometimes on occasion when using tracking, sometimes it would jump. So no autofocus out there is perfect. No camera is perfect. There, you know, Sony and Canon seem to have locked it down. Nikon caught up to them. It took a little bit, but they caught up with the Z9. So you've got three full frame cameras, you know, that are flagships, and they work really, really well. Everything about them, they seem to all work well. And Fuji comes in with this APS-C camera. I'll sort of address Casey in this video too. If you don't know who Casey is with Camera Conspiracies, I can't refer you to his channel because I just don't believe in the guy anymore. I think he's a clown. I think he's that's the whole point of his channel. Both channels, actually. He has another channel called Vegetable Police. So now I don't trust either channel. I don't trust anything this kid says, or guy. I don't know how old he is. But I can't trust anything he says. Because, you know, when he comes out with these videos talking about autofocus and wildlife video and all these different things, and how, you know, how it's bad, and there's noise in the video, and all these different things that, you know, a lot of, you know, noise in videos and can be cleaned up just as well as noise in photos. I don't understand the point here But anyway, DP Review came out with these videos, you know, about the video of the X-H2s. And they don't seem to be having the problems that Casey's having. You got Mike Riley doing wildlife videos, which is exactly what Casey's talking about, and he seems to be doing pretty good. You know, so the only difference I can see is Mike Riley's using the new lens, the 150 to 600, and Casey's using the 100 to 400, possibly with a teleconverter, which makes things worse. And he won't listen. You put anything in his comments telling him, you know, hey, have you tried this? Have you? And he never gives out all of his settings. He'll give you the aperture and maybe the shutter speed, and that's it. He doesn't tell you what focus mode he's using. He doesn't tell you anything. And there's a reason for that. He needs you to keep coming back because he needs to, you know, he needs the views, and he's going to create as much controversy as possible to get you to come back and watch. And that's fine. If you get off on that and you want to do that and you want to keep watching his channel, thinking this guy knows what he's talking about, go right ahead. I'm no expert by any means, and I would never sit here and try to pretend to be, especially when it comes to video. I'm not a video guy, but I've seen enough of other people's videos talking about the X-H2s, tried a little bit, tinkered a little bit myself, and I don't see how Casey's even credible about anything he says. You know, he made a video about the whole camera store, going in the camera store and using a pre-production model, made a huge deal about it, how the XT4 is better, blah, blah, blah. It was pre-production. And as even DP Review said, the final production X-H2s is much better than the pre-production model. They solved a lot of problems that camera was having, or the firmware was having, and they fixed it. And they will continue to fix it as we go along. I have no doubt about that. But anyway, I got off track again. That's what I do. If you'll ever watch my channel, you'll know that's exactly what I do. I always get off track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play audio. I'm not going to do video, because one thing I've noticed about the angry photographer is he gets really defensive about if you ask any question that's slightly just in the slightest bit controversial, he will ban people just like that on a drop of a dime. So I have no doubt in my mind that he would go run to YouTube crying, saying that I'm stealing his property, when in fact, you're on YouTube. You make a YouTube video, it's public for everybody. I have the right to actually play your video and comment on it. There are actual rules about how to do this. And as long as you fall within the rules, I'm not taking your video and downloading it and then re-uploading it on my channel. That's what he would be crying about. He would be saying that I did that when I did not. I'm clearly just playing the video. So I'm gonna try to suffer through this. I probably won't go through the entire video because he repeats himself a lot. If you've watched this guy before, you know he just constantly repeats. I think it's OCD or something. I don't know. Whatever mental disorder that is, and I do it too. I repeat myself a lot. So I know exactly, I recognize it because I do it. So anyway, let's jump into this, and we'll see how it goes.
Hey, greetings. I actually allowed myself 3 extra days for testing.
Wow, 3 extra days. So this guy's had this camera for an entire, 4 days, 5 days, when he does his complete review. I don't understand. You know, I don't understand how you can give a full review, and that's the title of the video, is X-H2s Fujifilm full review, with a stupid emoji, because I don't know how old he is, but he acts like a child sometimes. So that's my opinion, by the way. That's any of my comments about this man is my opinion. You know, take that for what it's worth.
New Fujifilm X-H2s. Yeah, there we go. This also too answers a lot of the questions about things I saw and read from other people on the X-H2s, because Fujifilm didn't let me have at this camera. Better late than never.
They're all full of crap. You know, these people that aren't giving you the entire truth. Where's it at? Does this camera have problems? There's a few. There are a few problems. It is not perfect in any means, and I've never promoted this as being a perfect camera. Nobody has. But these people act like we are, and they're doing everything they possibly can to find something wrong. Why? Because that PASM dial, it doesn't have the push-in. You're going to hear that from Ken here. The push-in dials, even though that was for weather sealing, Fujifilm got rid of that for weather sealing, and this is supposed to be a pro body. You just got to relax, man. But let's move on before this video and say, are you guys able to hear this okay? Hopefully.
All right, so let's get into it. The full review on the Fujifilm X-H2s. You should use my small iPad for the notes on this one instead of my large iPad, which I actually never use this thing. It never gets any usage, which is unfortunate.
If you're wondering, I'm looking at my phone. I'm playing this off of my phone and through my board so that you guys can hear it.
Oh my goodness.
That's that nervous. He does that on every. This guy's got some issues, and I'm not going to get into that because I'm also not a professional healthcare worker or mental health expert, but he's got a lot of these. You can usually tell when somebody's not being truthful. They have a lot of nervous activity going on, laughter, giggling, twitching. There's just little things that you know when somebody's not being truthful, which now I have to call into question everything this man's ever said. Everything. Everything he's ever said up until this point. And I used to listen to some of his stuff about, I think Nikon maybe, or early Fujifilm when I had my X-T4, and I was watching his lens review videos because I was trying to figure out what lenses to get. And he's talking about all these lenses and here's another, he brags about all the lenses and cameras he's owned. He's owned everything. He's owned more than you or anybody else out there. The guy's got some issues. He's got some serious issues here, folks.
Here we go. I can't stand video reviews where people read off the specifications on a camera, which you don't need to know. You can go to B.
Well, yes and no. I mean, sort of. I mean, you almost have to, because isn't that what a review is? You compare the specifications to the other cameras in its class or whatever class it's supposed to be in, and you kind of need to do that. But I see the point. But
out of ROM or any other place and get the specifications on it. So do I need to go over that? I don't think I do. $2,500. Is it worth it for the X-H2s? Here's my X-T4 with vertical grip on it. I think a lot of you actually have.
Which, by the way, an X-T4 with a vertical grip would be, what, $2,100? So you're talking $400 difference. Now, granted, you have the extra battery power, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But, if we're going to compare apples to apples, let's make the comparison.
The X-T4. It's already a known fact that we don't know the actual price, even though it's supposedly been announced on the photography-centric version of this camera, which I've told everybody.
Talking about the X-H2, the 40-megapixel camera that's supposed to be announced here shortly in the next few days.
There'd be a video-centric version and a photo-centric version, and they'd be the exact same camera body, and they are going to be the same camera body. Supposedly, the photo-centric camera is going to be cheaper, and it's, of course, going to be a different sensor, a 40-megapixel sensor, instead of this unit. Oh, goodness. And I got a list here of the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good section, it's not going to take me too long to get through.
Of course it's not, because,
By the way, I love Fujifilm. I am not sponsored or compensated in any way. Yeah, a friend let me borrow this X-H2s.
Apparently you can get your hands on one or afford it, but no, he always prefaces when he's going to trash something, usually, I'm not getting paid by Fujifilm. I love Fujifilm. Fujifilm is the world to me. Fujifilm this, Fujifilm that. He does this every time, and he's just it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I have no affiliate links for gears. Okay, huge Fuji.
And he's always bragging about no affiliate links. I never have affiliate links, which is weird because I think he directs that at guys like Casey, but yet they seem to be modeled after each other. Like they seem to. It's hard to tell. But I know he's directing that at guys like Casey. That see, Camera Conspiracy just lives off of affiliate links. That's how part of his income. And then Ken loves to brag that he's never had affiliate links. It's like, who cares? Who
fan.
That's supposed to make you more credible, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, huge Fujifilm fan. People get upset too before doing this review, whether you say something really positive about a camera or whether you say something really negative about a camera.
No, people get upset when you lie. That's when people get upset. Now, there are the fanboys out there that will get butthurt, especially if they paid for the camera and paid full price. And yeah, they'll get a little upset. You know, we all do. Any of us. You spend a lot of money on something and it's not up to your standards what you thought it was going to be. Yeah, you're going to be a little mad. You're going to be pissed off. But you really can only be mad at yourself. You know, you can't be mad at an inanimate object because it didn't meet your specification, especially if you didn't do the research. If you didn't research well enough before you made the purchase, whose fault is that? It's your fault.
I get really sick of that. I find it reprehensible, vile, and disgusting since I have no affiliate links at all.
Again, second time he's mentioned, no affiliate links at all. He wants you to know I'm credible. Everything I say is the truth because I don't have affiliate links. Complete, not true. I wanted to say something else.
And all my reviews pan out to be true on the cameras.
No, they don't. They don't.
And there are many examples like the Nikon D500. I told everybody to get it.
Okay, yeah, he told everybody to get the Nikon D500. I think it was pretty well established early by a lot of people that the D500 was a great camera. It wasn't because Ken said it was a great camera. This guy is so narcissistic. He has got a major narcissistic disorder. And all you got to do is watch his video for like 5 minutes and you'll see it. We all have narcissistic traits, all of us. But this guy goes, he's out in a planet, in a galaxy on his own. It's crazy. The narcissism.
The best thing since sliced cheese. And tons of people got it, and they all agreed with me. Said the same thing about the Nikon.
Yep. Tons and tons of people got it. Because Ken said to get it, all those thousands and thousands they sold was just because of Ken. It was only him. They only bought it because of him. That's his narcissism. He really believes this. Like, this man really believes what he's saying. I'm not saying that he's always lying on purpose. He really believes the things that come out of his mouth. You can tell. He really believes it in his mind.
At 50 anyway, the cameras. Let's get to it. So, very little rolling shutter for video. Is it that much better for video? 1000% no way. This confirms.
Wrong. 1000% no way. And by the way, this kind of goes in line with Casey. Casey loves to say the X-H2s. He loves to say this camera is the upgrade from the X-T4. It is not. This is an upgrade from the X-H1. The X-T5 will be an upgrade of the X-T4. So anybody out here comparing, and I understand why they would want to compare, because the X-H1 was such a failure to be that flagship model that they basically, by default, it went to the X-T4. I don't think Fuji wanted to put all of those specs in the X-T4. I'll be honest. I don't think that was the original plan. I really don't. I really think the X-T4 was going to be slightly better than the XT3. I think it was going to be, you know, it might have had most of the features that it eventually came out with. But honestly, I think the X-H1, they really thought the X-H1 was going to be the flagship, you know, because of the pro style body. And it just wasn't. It just didn't pan out because it dropped the same time the Sony dropped, around the same time the Sony was killing it. And they didn't have a chance. They didn't have a chance. They came out, I think that camera debuted at $1,700 or $1,800. And the A7 III was the same price. It was like, that was a no-brainer. You know, you get the full frame. I mean, that was just a no-brainer. But again, the falsehoods are going to start flying here now. 1,000% no. Now, if you were being specific about, you know, for me, for what I do in my work on a daily basis, what I need this camera for, is it better? And you say, well, no. Okay, fine. I can understand that. But he's barely a photographer, much less a videographer. To say that it's 1,000% no, that the video's better with up to 6K recording, you can record raw into an external monitor, 6K, and that's not way better than the XT4. Are you kidding me?
It's the same thing so many other people said. There is reduced rolling shutter, but the IBIS combined with the improvement on this camera. Wonderful buffer, too. Great.
Oh, he said something nice. Oh, by the way, the whole IBIS thing, I think it's been said by many, many people out there the IBIS is better. It might not be 400% better or 200% better, but it's better. You know, better is better. Better is better. Just because it didn't meet your standards of better doesn't mean that it's not better. And that's what these guys are coming across as. Casey and this guy both. I swear they must be related because they're just completely off base about all of this.
Extremely fast for image buffering and continuous high. On the CF Express cards, you have an SD card slot and, of course, a CF Express card slot. Great ergonomics. Yes and no. Actually, I'm not that much of a fan on the ergonomics of this camera.
Yeah, he raved about the GFX 50R or S. Was it the S that came out with the S2? And the 100S? He raves about it. And what does that look like, y'all? What does that look like? Those of you that know. They basically modeled this after the 50S2. It's just a slightly smaller version of the 100S and the 50S2. But the ergonomics are worse. It's the same body. It's just slightly smaller. You've had people say that this is one of the best ergonomic feeling cameras to them and to me too. I love the feel of this camera. The ergonomics on this is way better than the XT4 by 1,000%.
I guess I have medium-sized hands. It's kind of bulky. Is it similar to with the vertical grip on the X-H1? It kind of is. Does it remind me of the newest GFX Fujifilm camera? Yes, it does. This is a crop sensor camera, not a medium format camera.
Oh, because, see, it's okay on the medium format camera. This exact body style is okay because it's a medium format camera, but it's not okay because this is an APS-C camera. That makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. That is completely, it's out of this world. That's an out of this world statement. That's one of many. I'm not going to go through the whole video. I just want to point out some of the worst. Some of the worst comments of this guy. This guy is being completely malicious towards Fujifilm. Completely malicious. Absolutely. Not only that, but he's also trying to get clicks. He's trying to get views. He's got a ton of views on this thing. What, 12,000 views already? You know? I mean, he's not being truthful at all in any way, shape, or form. He's just not. It's been proven over and over on YouTube. Everybody that touches this camera, most people that put their hands on this camera love the ergonomics. It's one of the biggest things they rave about is the ergonomics. The grip is fantastic. This thing feels way better than any of the Sony cameras I've had. Any of them. And I understand Sony updated their bodies. I get it. But I'm telling you right now, all the Sonys that I've handled, this is way better. It's way better than the XT4. It's way better than any other thing that I put my hands on, with the exception of the Nikons. The Nikon Z6, Z6 II, probably were a little bit better for sure.
That actually makes it for the good list on the X-H2s here. I mean that. I like to keep this video short and sweet. A lot of people in the past said I better too much information than too little, said I drone on in my video reviews of certain cameras and or lenses. So
we all drone on. I'm droning on in this video right now as we speak.
That was the good, which was an extremely short list. Now to the bad. It still has bad face.
That's it. That's all the good. That's all the good about this camera. That's all the good he had. Nothing about the 6.2K. Nothing about 4K 120. Nothing about battery life. Nothing about... And the battery life is questionable. It could be a little worse than the XT4. If it is, it's not much. Nothing about the glorious screen on top. Sorry, it's out of focus. Nothing about the full-size HDMI. Full-size HDMI that you're... last time, I don't know if any of the the GFX series has full-size HDMI. I know the 50R and 50S don't, because I was just researching buying them. But yeah, he doesn't say anything about that. Separate headphone, microphone jack. What else we got? Swivel screen. What else? You know, CF Express card slot. Maybe he mentioned that as a pro. You know, autofocus is improved. 40 frames a second. But that's all he had to say. That was all the good things he had to say. It was just a little couple things. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how much further I'm going to get before I throw my phone across the room.
Tracking countless different lenses. Issue. I find it absolutely no better than the XT4. And I mean that seriously. I did my friends at the leather store. I did family members. I can't see any better face tracking. And others report this too. I cannot find any better face tracking, eye tracking. Now, of course, we have...
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. The XT4 wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad at just face tracking and eye tracking. This camera's better. It's better. Hands down. I've proven it. I got soft images with the XT4 at times, especially in low light. This camera is a beast in low light. It is a beast in low light. If you underexpose for whatever reason, accidentally, on purpose, you're not going to have a problem. It's still going to track subjects. I've had it at the racetrack. The subject tracking works for the most part. It does need some tweaking, but it will get you the shots that you need to get, for sure, better than the XT4 would. Absolutely, hands down. I've used the camera, Ken. I've used it at the track. I've shot portraits with it. I had a senior photo shoot with it, or a couple times. I've taken it out for, you know, just about anything, panning downtown at nighttime. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong, Ken. But Ken, you're not a photographer. I mean, you are, but we've seen a very short part of your work. Very, very little. Ken, as far as I know, doesn't have a portfolio online, because all Ken does is product photography, as far as I know. That's all I know. I don't know for sure if he does anything else. All I know, he doesn't have a portfolio online. So you can't see this work that he's practiced with this camera, because it doesn't exist. If you guys, and I'm not going to get into the whole Jason Lanier thing, that whole fiasco a couple years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, however long it was. I'm not going to get into that and express my opinions on it, because I got some opinions on it. But there was a video when Jason came down to Kentucky and took old Ken out shooting. Ken had that medium format, and his pictures were just bad. It looked like a guy. It looked like somebody who had just been shooting for about 2-3 months. They were all overexposed. It didn't even look like half of them were in focus. The guy is not a good photographer. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. My opinion is he is not a good enough photographer to tell me how good a camera is. I'm sorry. You're just not. I mean, and I'm not that great either. I'm really not. I never said I was, and I'll never say I am, no matter how good or bad I end up being. There are some other good photographers out there that have used this camera, and everything they say about it is a complete contradiction to what you're saying. So you're saying you're right, and all those other people are wrong. All of them. They're all wrong. DPV Review's wrong. Mike Riley's wrong. I can't even think off the top. There's the one guy I want to give him props because he did a fantastic video. But I can't think of his name. God, I so apologize. I'll try to put a link in the description if I remember, and of course I never do. You're absolutely 100% wrong. Anybody that listens to this, sorry for your luck. I'm sorry. If you don't buy this camera strictly based off of what this man says, you got robbed. You got robbed of being able to have a camera that is way more capable and way better in my mind than an XT4. Now, those of you that like those retro bodies, you might be waiting on the XT5, and that'll be the greatest camera ever. Fine. I get it. You know, I shouldn't, it's kind of wrong of me to bash people that like those cameras. If you like it, you like it. If you like the retro look, hey, that's cool, whatever. Just be honest why you're using it. It's not because of how good it feels in the hands, and it's not because of how great the autofocus is. Let's be honest. But anyway, use it for whatever reason you want. But this guy's just wrong.
All sorts of additional options like bird tracking, separate entity, which is really kind of lame. The algorithm should actually have one entity for animal tracking. So we got a separate case for bird tracking and a separate case for animal tracking, which is really quite bizarre, and it's not
Which may be something they come out with in a later update. They may do that.
Sony or Canon have actually done on this instance. So, no, still bad tracking for face tracking.
By the way, this guy hates Sony. He says it in his videos a lot. He just hates Sony, but he knows a lot about Sony. It's crazy, right?
One thing that really pissed me off is that the front dial for manual, single, and continuous, of course, is completely gone.
Yeah, a lot of people were so mad about that. Again, maybe they did that for pricing. Maybe they did that because that button's cheaper than a dial. I don't know. I don't know why Fuji did that. Maybe it was for weather sealing. I have no idea. But it's not that hard to click a button, roll the dial, be done. Click a button, roll a dial, be done. How often are you changing between autofocus and manual focus? Like, how many people out there are just constantly changing all of these modes? I mean, how often are you doing it? Be honest. How often are you doing it? I mean, you don't really need to do it if you want to use manual focusing to dial in, because you can just leave it in manual, hit your focusing button, and it'll start it, and then you just finish it up with the lens. So it's not like you need to switch back and forth real quick. Because I can't feel it, because I can feel the notches. And well, yeah, I can feel the button. I can feel the button, and I just push the button, and then I hit the dial. I'm not changing. Not to mention, you can't. My camera's not cooperating today. It should be focusing on that. But on the PASM dial, you have 7 custom functions. 7 custom functions. If you need 7 custom functions, you are way too busy. You are way too busy of a person. If you are, hey, good luck to you. But you could set each one of those. So one to AFC, one to manual, one to single shooting, I don't get the problem. You know, and maybe that makes it easier to do that because it's electronic instead of hardwired. Maybe there was an issue where if you wanted to set all those custom functions and have one set for manual and one set for AFC and one set for single shooting, maybe that's why they had to do a button, so they could have all those custom functions. So I don't know. Would you rather have 7 functions that you could set and just turn a dial and completely change your camera with the turn of a dial? Or do you need that stupid button that you're not using very often? I mean, let's be honest here. Those of you complaining about that, I get it. I understand. You purists. You just, oh my God, they're changing my camera. The X-T5's coming, y'all. Just relax. It might be next year, but it's coming. You're getting your little dial-y things. You're going to get your trinkets. Just relax. I don't understand why you guys are flipping out.
Reason for this, you can say, well, this is a video-centric camera. You can press on the front button and actually click the rear command dial, you know, one way or the other to scroll between the 3 different options, which means...
Yeah, and it's a whole 3 options. It'll take forever on that dial. My finger might get tired. My thumb might get sore from all that flipping between 3 options. Oh my goodness.
Instead of just coming up here and turning the switch. The real reason is that that 3-position toggle switch is actually substantially more expensive than another.
Now, how would he know that? How would you know? How would you know that that is more expensive? Unless you work for Fujifilm. You work for Fujifilm? Did you get fired? Is that why you're mad? I mean, did you know some of the engineers? I mean, do you have parts lists? Did you get you got an insider? You got an insider, Ken? Because he loves insiders. He loves get that inside information. How would you know this? How would you know unless you are privy to the parts list and what it costs to build this camera? He doesn't know jack. He wants you to think he knows, but he really doesn't know. All these clues just in the first, how far are 5 minutes and 49 seconds into this thing, this atrocity. And he's already told so many fallacies. So many fallacies. And again, I'm not going to get through this whole video. There's no entire way. This
push button in its place. So that's
this
a
would be an hour
cost-saving
video,
feature, which should not be the case on this expensive camera. Expensive? Expensive relative to what? You know, $2,500. You know, so that's gone.
Apparently too expensive for him. So, you know, I get it.
IBIS and panning is still quite jerky in video. I tried nearly every option. It is still jerky. Countless other people report the exact same.
Countless. There's millions of people that report this, because countless, that's a lot of people, right? No, it's pretty much only you and a couple others, maybe. DP Review, who are way better at reviewing cameras than you'll ever be, they actually thoroughly test and show it on the video. They don't just tell you what I tore this camera apart. I tore this thing apart all the way down to the last bolt, and I went and put it back together. It doesn't mean I actually did it. You know, I don't think you tested this camera at all. I'll be honest with you, Ken. I think you shot a couple photos of the trees out in the yard and just put it on the shelf, and 4 days later you made a video. I'll be quite honest. I don't think you did any testing. There's no way you did any testing. Either you didn't test it properly or at all, or this entire video is malicious. It is 100% malicious. Fujifilm ought to sue you, is what they should do. Fujifilm should sue you.
Images are not a single bit better out of this new sensor than there is the X-T4.
That is questionable. So that part I have to give him. Personally, I think the image quality is a little bit better. It's slightly better. Not much, if any. But I can see a little bit of a difference. And I don't know if it's the stack sensor. I don't know. But for me, with my eyes, which aren't that great, obviously, but I personally feel like the image quality is better. And even if it's not better, it's still a plus because it's a stack sensor. in theory, when you compare it to other camera manufacturers that put out stack sensor versus non-stack sensors, generally, not all the time, but generally, the stack sensor is slightly worse in image quality. Again, the two cameras, the two cameras that I've owned, the A7 III, the A9, they have it's not the exact same sensor because the A9 is stacked, but they're both 24.1 megapixel. There was a difference in image quality. Slight. It's very, very, very slight. I never could put my finger on it till I researched it. And stack sensors, generally, you're sacrificing some image quality for speed. That's the sacrifice, but it's not much. But again, I still think, and I don't know if it's got something to do with the algorithms. I don't know if it's got something to do with the new processing. It's probably the new processor has a lot to do with it, but I think it's better. That's just my opinion. Other people have also said they think it's slightly better or the same, but they seem to be really complaining that it's not 1,000 times better. What are you expecting? What exactly are you expecting? It's the same size, 26.1 on the megapixel size. How much better do you think it's going to be? Not to mention, he even said it himself. And everybody knows this is the video-centric camera. I like it because of the body style. I'm not going to wait for the X-T5 because I don't need all the buttons and dials. I just don't need them. I like this body style way better, and I'm getting a faster sensor. I might get an X-H2 down the line, way down the line, or I may just go straight medium format and just jump, to medium format for stills and, whatever, not sports for sure, but, and just keep these for sports and video. I don't know. But, so yeah, I'll give you that. It's may not be better, or it may be slightly better, but, come on.
Except for extreme high ISO, and even then, only a little bit. In fact,
no, it's not a little bit. It's not a little bit. I've shot at night. I've shot in extremely low light, sports, and the noise level depends on the lighting that's in the scene. But I will tell you this. This camera is, I think, not worlds better than the X-T4, but it is definitely better. And even cleaning the noise up in post looks better. I'm not getting the worms as bad as, that sounds bad. But I'm not getting the worms as bad as I was, when you're sharpening and stuff. So I think the images are cleaning up much nicer. The RAW files are. I don't know about the JPEGs. I shoot RAW. But the RAW files are cleaning up really, really nicely in Lightroom Classic.
I actually consider the output muddier and far less pleasing than that of the X-T4.
And see, he's only comparing this to the X-T4. DP Review, I think, would have mentioned muddiness, since they test them pretty thorough. I think there's other people out there that would have Mike Riley never mentioned. I think Mike Riley complained about the 240p, 1080 240. I think, but the 1080 240 was garbage in the X-T4. And then, of course, Casey up there says, "Oh, but it's worse than the X-H2s." I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Don't believe it for a second. Noise can be cleaned up in post. These guys just completely refuse to deliver. Unless it's a camera that they love personally and that they stand behind, then they will tell you can clean the noise up in post. But when it's a camera they are malicious about and they're trying to bash and they're trying to make sure that you don't go out there and buy one, then they'll tell you, "Oh, it's muddy and it's noisy and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just garbage." Oh, by the way, Gerald Undone, isn't he in Canada too? Wasn't he one of Casey's buddies? I think Gerald maybe needs to go over and show Casey how to run that camera, because Gerald raved about the camera. He seemed to like it. He agreed it was a little noisy with the 240. I don't know what all he said about it, but I don't know. You can definitely tell when these guys are being malicious and when they're being close to fair. They all have an agenda, but some are more fair than others.
Here's the ugly side, which is quite a long list, to be frank with you. One thing that really pissed me off, which should not be on this $2,500 camera, is that there is no clickability on the front and rear command dials.
That's his biggest problem with this camera. For days before he released this review, that's all he talked about. That's all he talked about was that clickable, them stupid clickable dials, by the way, which eventually wear out and break. If you're using them a lot, they will wear out eventually. They get looser, and then if you just breathe on it, it's going to punch in. So Fuji, in their infinite wisdom, because this is a pro body, a completely weather-sealed pro body, got rid of the clickable dials because this is a pro body. Pro bodies don't have clickable dials, Ken. I thought you should know that, being the expert photographer and owning every piece of Nikon gear ever made and every piece of Fuji gear ever made. Shouldn't you know that? Shouldn't you understand what a pro body is versus, oh, that's right, maybe you don't understand for obvious reasons.
Absolutely none. No clickability. I use it all the time for zoom, 100%.
So because you use it all the time, they should include it on the camera. See, it's everything that he says about this camera is he's whining because he didn't get his way. It's like all these other fanboys out here that are crying about this camera. They didn't get their way. They didn't get all their little trinkets, their dials, so they're complaining about the camera. If the X-T5 had dropped first, you wouldn't be hearing none of this hate. A majority of, I should say a majority, you'll still hear hate, but a majority of the hate wouldn't have been coming for this camera if Fuji would have just dropped the X-T5 first. But I understand why they dropped this one first, because they're trying to get new blood into the system. They need pros buying their gear because the fanboys aren't carrying the torch. There's not enough of them to carry the torch. You got to get out of that niche market or niche market. You've got to attract new people in, or the company's going to end up like Olympus. So sorry, Ken, you and Casey and I don't know who, all the other Fuji fanboys, you're not doing your part. You're not buying enough gear. If you guys are buying enough gear, you'd get all the cameras you want. I mean, think about it. If the Fuji fanboys, you only have yourselves to blame about this camera. Because if you would have spent more money, and not on the used market, I mean buying brand new Fujifilm gear, Fuji wouldn't have to make cameras like this. They could keep making cameras with trinkets and little buttons and dials and push-in dials and, you know, little
zoom and playback, which now becomes an extreme pain in the butt. I can't actually have my eye to the viewfinder and click. I actually have to go back and double tap on the touch LCD to see it 100%, then move around when it's actually sunny outside. I don't like that at all. Sorry.
But you're not. He acts like he's always out doing photos. He acts like he's always out shooting. You know, he's not. You get over yourself.
Don't like that. That brings in 2 extra steps into looking at 100%, which I do all the time. The lack of clickable front and rear command. Well, it's video centric. No, those should still be there. You actually need more controls for video than you do for photography. They should be there. So I know someone's going to use that excuse. Well, it's video centric camera. Well, I just dropped my CFX.
No, I'm going to use the excuse that it's a weather sealed body and they needed to make it more weather sealed. That's what I'm thinking. And it's a pro body. Pro bodies don't have clickable dials. That's the excuse I'm going to use. Because that's the right excuse, as far as I know. That's the reason they did it.
Press card. I'll get that later. This should still be there on this camera, especially for $2,500. That actually really, really pissed me off. Here's something that's a big no-no, and Fujifilm did it on the X-T4 too. There's no charger with this camera. A lot of people might consider
that. I agree with. Absolutely 100% agree. When I opened that box, it did piss me off. It did piss me off, but this is not the only camera that's come without a charger. Let's be honest. It's not the only one, but if you're going to release a flagship APS-C camera for $2,500, you damn sure should have a charger in the box. I'm sorry, but those are facts. I have to agree with them.
their first Fujifilm camera. I've got the charger over here. Here we go. You know, you have to get one of these suckers. It's a dual charger. I think it's, what, $69? No. 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 Here's something else I found quite amazing. It's the one thing that almost made me cry, not literally cry, is that it feels cheaply made.
And this is where we're going to end this, because this has been way too long, and I've given Ken way too much airtime. I wanted it to get to that point because, again, this camera body is basically just a smaller version of the GFX 50S and the 100S, GFX 100S. I don't understand where his cheapness is coming from. Maybe it's because this is black up here. Maybe that's why it's throwing him off, and they like the little silver top trinkets. But this feels more heavy duty than the XT4. I had the XT4. It just feels, and honestly, the XT4, what made it look cheap was the paint they used for that silver top. When you got the silver one, that paint looked cheap. I'm sorry, it looked like somebody sprayed it with a rattle can. They just went to Walmart, bought some silver paint, but psst, that's literally what it looks like to me. It looks cheap. This looks more like a pro camera. This looks like a more expensive camera, to be honest. It feels better. It's heavier. It just, the only question I would have was, what are these holes? How are they going to be? How are they going to weather seal with the holes there for the fan? I don't get that. But other than that, this is a very well-built camera. You are lying through your teeth, Ken. Because if you like the GFX 50S and R and GFX 100S, if you like those cameras, bud, they're built the same. They're just bigger. These are smaller, but it's the same. But because this is the X-H2s and you didn't get your push-in dials, now you're just going to rip Fuji apart because they didn't send you one. Let's be honest, that's the major reason is because they stopped talking to you, like Nikon did. Nikon realized that you're out in left field, and they figured, oh, just because this guy's got a huge YouTube channel doesn't make him right, doesn't mean that he's actually trustworthy or credible. Just his opinions are just opinions. Most of his, even his scientific ramblings and some of the stuff, because he couldn't make it in the camera review world, so because everybody figured him out and stopped sending him stuff. So once they all stopped sending him stuff, well, then he had to start. I mean, I guess he used to talk about this stuff years ago, but he just rambles on and on about these weird theories, none of which have been proven that I know of. I mean, from what I've seen. So I had to unsubscribe from him a long time ago. I unsubscribed a long time, and I'll prove it. As you can see, well, you can't see it. See that where it says it asked me to subscribe, and that means I'm not subscribed. So, Ken, I'm not subscribed to you anymore. And that is why, because you, sir, are just not being truthful. You're not a truthful person. I have to question everything you've ever said now. Everything. Everything. Just like with Casey, I question everything that kid's ever said. Nothing he's ever said. I would never take his dietary advice or his camera advice at all. And maybe that's kind of the thing. He's just a vlogger, and he's found a way to build this channel by BSing people. Bless your heart, bud. Bless your heart. Good luck to you. I unsubscribed from both his channels too. I just couldn't take it anymore. The guy's like a mini Tony Northrup. He really is. He's a mini Tony Northrup. Ken's just he's in a world all by himself. And maybe that's the problem. He's alone. I don't know what the problem is. I'm not a mental health expert, but I will say this. Ken, your review of the X-H2s is wrong. Straight up 100% wrong. I've used the camera. I've had it for over a month. I didn't use it for 3 days and come out with a full. I haven't even done a full review yet. I haven't done a full review. So, but I will tell you this. I loved it so much that I traded all my Sony stuff, the rest of what little I had left, including the A9, because KEH just happened to have an X-H2s. Somebody traded one in. I guess it was Ken. I guess Ken or Casey traded in their X-H2s. Oh, wait. Ken had to borrow his. I'm sorry. So somebody didn't like it, traded it in, and I'm gonna get it. That's gonna be my second body, and maybe at that point I'll actually start filming on the camera itself, so I have a little bit better YouTube videos, so the pretty lights and everything show up better. You know, and less noise. There's noise. I know there's. Wait, there we go. There's noise. I know there's noise. Wow, this video's been way too long, much longer than I wanted it to be. But as a wrap up, my review will be coming soon. My full review of this camera, and I'm still testing it. I'm still trying stuff out. Been through 2 updates so far. I haven't had any lockup issues or anything like that with having to pull the battery or anything. Personally, I haven't done that, and I abused this camera. I took 40. How much did that mean? What did I say? It was somewhere around 4,200 photos at 30 frames a second, and in the heat, went through 3 batteries. It was crazy. I abused the camera. It was getting warm. You know, I'm down on the track, and I had to go to my Sony A9 because I ran out of batteries. You know, and then I also ran out of memory card. I had no more memory card left. So I've abused this camera. I've used it and actually put it through its paces. You know, so I think I have a little bit more invested into this than Ken does. You know, 2 or 3 days ain't enough. It's not enough. You are just being malicious. And again, this is all my opinion, Ken. So don't go to the YouTube police and don't start trying to whining and crying that I'm abusing you and harassing you and bullying you. I'm just telling you that you are being completely malicious towards Fuji. And I just know I've used the camera. There's other videos out there of people that have used this camera and either put out reviews, put out just videos just talking about it, or actually using it in the field, that are not having hardly any of the issues that Casey up in Canada has, and surely contradicts almost everything you say about. I didn't even get into the autofocus comment. He made a comment that the eye autofocus on this camera is bad. It's in that video. Go look it up. You can go look it up. I'm not going to link to it because I don't want nothing to do with the guy after this. But even though if he reached out and wanted to have a serious human conversation, a man-to-man, I'll have that conversation. But I'm still going to tell you the same thing. I think you're being completely malicious. And I think we know why. I think my opinion is Fuji dumped you as a whatever relationship you had. They dumped you. And like a jilted girlfriend, you are lashing out. That's just the way it is. That's my opinion. I think you're being malicious, and that's it. So if you want to listen to that guy and his maliciousness and his review of the X-H2s, and you don't buy this camera, that's on you. If you want to wait for the X-T5, hey, great, fantastic. You like the little trinkets and the dials? That's cool. You know, you like what you like. I kind of like them too, to be honest. I like the look of them, but I just don't like the feel. They don't feel right. I just don't like to use them. When I had my X-T4, I never used the dials. I used them like I use these cameras. So, and at that point, I realized, what's the point of having it? You know, what's the point of having it? So people could run up and tell me, oh, your camera looks cool. Oh, thanks, buddy. High five. I'm sorry. I keep making digs. I apologize. I'm not nearly as much of a dick as I appear to be. So anyway, thanks for watching. You can like, subscribe, whatever. You know, I appreciate the support. With the few that give me the support, I really do appreciate it. And go out there. You can grab one of these cameras. It's a beast. You'll love it. My full review will be coming in the next few weeks. And but I'm gonna put it through some more paces. You know, I still got to try video here in studio. I got to try video out in the real world, and then we'll do a full review. But I'm going to make sure it's thorough. I'm not going to be doing these videos for clickbait, you know, for views and to be controversial, to be the controversial guy. I'm just addressing the guy. I'm not trying to be controversial or start drama with the guy. And maybe YouTube will flag this down. He might get it flagged, and that's fine. Whatever you got to do, bud. You can't fight back. I guess go tell the teacher. You know, that's the world we live in. So anyway, thanks. See you again soon, maybe. That is the key statement. Fujifilm didn't let me have at it with this camera, so I'm going to come out with a video and trash it. See, you always have to read between the lines. All these YouTubers out here, they always have an agenda. Always. There's always an agenda. My agenda for this video is to show you that this guy's full of crap. Period. He is absolutely 100% full of crap. Casey's full of crap.